This is actually the best thing ever. Watch this. Jeff gets me in his ultimate, but I'm Rocket, so I don't die to your ultimate. I'm afraid, Jeff. You die, though. It's the best. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. So we need to talk about this, right? Because Marvel Rivals doesn't have role lock. The meta is an issue. And what else could it potentially take from Overwatch that I think could make a big difference? Well, the first thing I want to say is this, and I just want to make this statement straight up. Firstly, if you play strategist, you're literally the best player in the game, right? You're insane. You're a hero. You should get all of the thumbs up at the end of the game. Yeah, you're just the greatest ever. So strategist players, I love you. Also, Rocket is great. I love Rocket. He's so good. But I think there's a lot of different things they can do here with this game when compared to Overwatch. Now, there's been a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, we need role queue. We need role lock. This is going to be a disgrace. You know, the meta's this, the meta's that, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say this, right? I don't think we need role lock, but what we do need is preferred role queue. So I think this is a good place to start off the video. So to begin with, let's talk about preferred role queue and what that would look like. So let's just say, for example, in terms of team comp, we at least want a tank and we want 2 supports. So 1 Vanguard and 2 strategists. Now, the matchmaker can encourage this if it reads what players' preferred heroes are. So if you're to say, my preferred role is strategist, you're going to get paired with somebody else who is a preferred strategist, and then get paired potentially with 3 DPS and then with at least a Vanguard. That will make the game a lot more manageable. Now, the reason I'm saying this is from my limited experience of playing comp so far. You obviously want tanks in the game. When you look at, I don't want to use this word because it's disgusting and it's horrible, but you look at GOATs from Overwatch. This was 3 tanks, 3 supports. It was a very bad time to be a DPS player because it was just all about sustain. It was about getting bodies onto the point, onto the objective, onto the payload, and never dying because you had so much healing and it was just outrageous. You just out-sustained. It was boring. It was crap. I think in this game, the DPS is really fun to play, but there are some issues where, again, it's probably going to devolve into having a lot of Vanguards and a lot of strategists because that just enables you to stay on the point longer. It enables you to fight longer. Now, I do want to talk about tanks in this game because, again, it's not just Overwatch in this world that has, well, tanks as the most boring role. And in a way, this is kind of, it's reassuring that it isn't just an Overwatch issue that tanks are the least enjoyable role to play, right? It's also a Marvel Rivals issue, so maybe it's just a hero shooter issue when you're looking at these tank, healer, and DPS games, and that's just, okay, can that be solved? I don't know. I think it can if you're looking at things like trying to sort out tank abilities, making tanks more enjoyable to play rather than straight up giving them a ton more damage. Again, looking at Overwatch 2 here is the example. Of course, the game went to 5v5, but notably, it went to 1 tank per team, so they giga buffed the tank to make the tank feel more powerful. And of course, that game had a bunch of issues with tanks being really strong and tanks being not as strong, and it's kind of all over the place. But still, it is accepted as the kind of the most... Saying the word boring is a bit harsh because it is fun to tank. I mean, I do enjoy tanking in this game. I've played some Magneto. I've enjoyed that. But it's not the role. I don't think I would want to... I guess, main that role. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I don't know. I think this is, yeah, one of those things. So this is the other thing I want to talk about here. These abilities, these team-up abilities. So you see me with Frank Castle here now, or the Punisher. Don't know why I'm calling him Frank Castle. It's very formal. Yo, Frank. So we've lost control of the point here, but I've dropped down my ability I get through the team-up, well, with having Frank. I'm just going to call him Frank from now on my team, where he gets unlimited ammo if he's in that, which is really good for him, because if you look at Frank, is he the best DPS in the game? No, he's not. He's probably one of the worst DPSs in the game. He's very basic. His kit's not great. His movement is trash when he doesn't have his zip line up. He's kind of easy to run down. His shotgun isn't the best. His smoke grenade is like whatever. His ultimate's okay, though. But when he's with me, I can give him unlimited ammo if I'm playing Rocket, which is like massive. That completely changes the dynamic. And this is a tuning knob they can use. This is something Overwatch does not have. I'm going to keep using Overwatch as the example here because, as I say, there's been a big call for we need role queue, which essentially in the Overwatch world means this needs 2-2-2. So you need 2 tanks, 2 supports, 2 DPS, and that's it. That's the way it needs to be. There needs to be no player expression in that regard. But when you look at the team-up abilities, it does allow the developers to give certain heroes, when paired together, certain abilities. You'll see, actually, later on in this video, I'm playing as Iron Man, and I've got Hulk on my team. You've got Hulk on your team, you get the gamma ray, or the gamma radiation I think they've actually got it in this game, haven't they? Their Hulk's got it because he was all green. Yeah, their Iron Man because they've got Hulk. It means you do more damage, right? So it makes Iron Man more deadly. And is Iron Man the best DPS? Well, far from it. You know, you pick a hit scan or Black Widow, you just kill Iron Man. But if you've got Hulk on your team, well, you do more damage. So, yeah, that's actually quite a nice trade-off. Also, is Hulk the best tank? No, he's probably the worst tank. But does it matter? And also, when I'm just calling heroes the worst and the best here, who knows what the hell is anything? It's literally early days, and that's what makes this game interesting. So this is the other point we need to talk about, and it is meta, before we get into the nuts and bolts of this entire discussion. When you look at the meta in this game, there is no defined meta at the moment. You watch my previous video, and if you didn't, the TLDR of that is basically, there's no meta, go and play this game, it's great. These games are awesome when there is no meta, when you can just play heroes that you want to play. It's a complete cluster. Everyone is all over the place. No one really knows what they're doing. I'm sure if I go back and watch these videos in a few months' time, they will be super cringeworthy. I'll be like, what the hell was I doing? Why was I standing there? Also, that just never gets old. Like, what was my game plan? What the hell? Where is the value, right? Like, what am I trying to do here? What am I trying to achieve? It will look cringy. But that's not the point, right? The point is, when there is no defined meta, it is fun. People don't tilt. They don't just look at team comps and go, oh no, we've got Rocket on our team, we've lost. Which, by the way, I don't think will ever be the case. I think this character's okay. But let's say you got Frank on your team. Oh no, he's terrible. I don't want Frank. I want Psylocke or somebody. I want Moon Knight. What's going on? You know, we're going to lose, blah, 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 blah. Or we don't have enough Vanguards. We're going to lose, blah, 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 blah. You go down that path. Inevitably, that will happen. You know, I've been in games where there is toxicity, people flaming each other, you know, for their score, or like, look at this, we've got a Widow on our team and she's got 2 kills and 10 deaths. It's like, whatever. These are multiplayer games, you're going to get that. So there is no defined meta at the moment, but there will be. And this is the issue. What do they want the meta to be defined as? Now, if we keep going with the idea of no role lock, so there is no role lock in the game, how does this manifest? What will this game sort of turn into? I hate to say it, I think it will turn into free Vanguard, free strategist. And it's basically GOAT. Again, it's the forbidden Overwatch terminology. But this is just high sustain. It is, you're on the point, come and get us off the point. We're just going to kill you with our ultimates. Or if you'll get out of position, we're going to kill you because, you know, it's all about cooldowns, baiting out cooldowns and all that stuff. Like, look, what was I doing there? Trying to fight Hulk. I mean, that's not a good idea, is it? As Rocket. So yeah, there's all those issues which come into play. Now, I do think, though, there is a very interesting idea here. What happens if you take the global health regen from Overwatch 2 and slap that into this game? Suddenly, DPS-heavy comps have more sustain. Now, the way this would work would be essentially like it does in Overwatch. So when you're out of combat, you haven't taken damage for a couple of seconds, you start regenerating your health. I think that would have a big impact on some potential viability of team comps in this game. It would allow you to play more of the DPS heroes as opposed to going Vanguard and Strategist heavy, because you're going to be able to heal yourself through disengaging from combat. Now, there are some heroes in the game already in the DPS category that can already kind of do this by using the health pack. So looking at Iron Man, again, a hero that I've played a bunch of recently, you can disengage very quickly with your flight, and you can fly straight over to the health packs, grab them, get back into the fight. There is self-sustain there, and it is quite strong. Again, Iron Man's got other issues because obviously he moves around in the sky. He's a pretty big hitbox. Depends on, you know, who you're playing against. Like I said, if you're playing against Black Widow or Hawkeye or anyone who's got good range damage, they're probably just going to destroy you, so you've got to be careful of that. But still, it's part of the game, right? It's part of that character. Now, the other characters with movement abilities can do this, but it is an interesting question, I think. If you start adding up this sort of formula of what happens if you introduce global health regen, so everyone starts regenerating health, I think that's a very interesting... I think that'd be super interesting, to be honest. Then you look at stuff like team up abilities. What happens if you start looking to balance team up abilities to maybe give certain team comps a little bit more viability? Again, this could end up in the issue of you want those heroes together for their team up ability. So, you know, these issues can just keep cycling around. And then you've got a preferred role selection, and the matchmaker is trying to build a 2-2-2 comp, or even a 1-3-2, for example, which could be 2 strategists, 3 support, and 1 tank, or Vanguard. It is interesting, isn't it? I think there's a lot you can do without having to force the role queue. I think forcing role queue is almost like the easy way out. Now, another thing I want to say about this game, this is going to sound brutal, right? Because I'm also going to sound quite snobbish. I don't think this game is very balanced anyway, and I think that makes it fun. And I don't really want some ultra competitive hero-based game. I've already got that in Overwatch if I want it, and that kind of put me off that game in some respects. You know what I mean? So maybe this is just my bias talking, where I'm like, nah, who cares about comp? Who cares about this? But the thing is, comp can exist in a world of chaos. It doesn't need to be some super balanced environment. Now, obviously, doesn't... Yeah, well, that sounds crazy what I've just said there. It needs to be a balanced environment, don't get me wrong. Things that are broken need to be not broken. Like, this is awesome, by the way, the green beam with Hulk. But comp can exist in a state of a bit of chaos, and I think this game kind of thrives off its chaos. When you look at the fact it's got map destruction, that is not really competitive. You know, in any world, having the map being able to be destroyed is not competitive, because changing map geometry, especially when it's map geometry which might potentially, you know, help you defend a point, and all enemies need to do is focus fire it and it blows up that defensive position, that's never going to be balanced, is it? You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say here, guys, right, is I actually don't worry, right? Do not worry about meta. Do not worry about role lock. Do not worry about Doom posting people on Twitter and God knows where else, on Reddit and TikTok, who knows? Probably on YouTube as well. People saying this game's trash because it doesn't have roll queue. It doesn't really matter at the moment. Just go and play the game and have fun. I think what has happened with this game, and what has made me really surprised by this, there's some performance issues actually on this map, and there is on the Spider-Man map as well, which isn't great. But besides that, the fluidity and the polish of this game, it feels like a Blizzard game, doesn't it? And the characters, everyone knows who these characters are. And again, I touched on this in the previous video, but the IP is very strong, obviously. Marvel, right? You know, the amount of heroes they can add to this game is just going to be crazy. Like, think of all the X-Men they can add to the game. It's just, I mean, it's insane, right? There's so much stuff they can do with it. But it feels fun, and the heroes all feel quite unique. I know that they've obviously got abilities taken from other games, right? Magneto's a good example, where his primary fire is basically Sigma's primary fire from Overwatch, and his shift ability is basically Sigma's shield that he can't project forward. So it just obviously is in front of Magneto. It doesn't move forward. So yeah, abilities have been stolen. Ideas have been taken. But I guess, you know, what comes around goes around, doesn't it? I mean, Blizzard was known for taking stuff and just refining it. Look at all the genres. They basically took a game. They invented their own IP, granted, but then just refined it. Just made it better. And yeah, it became playable. I feel like this game is very polished. I feel like this game is very fun to play. I feel like the weekend I've been playing this game so far, it feels like I'm not, well, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I didn't think I would. I'll be totally honest with you guys. I thought this game would just be, number one, a monetization hellhole. Number two, just totally broken, like completely unbalanced and just not playable in any way at all. In fact, yeah, while things are obviously up in the air and the meta's all over the place and hero balance is all over the place, and as time goes on, and when I say time goes on, I mean like as the days go on, I'm sure balance changes will come in, nerfs will come in. Yeah, even like Iron Fist. People were saying Iron Fist is crazy, is OP, is the, like, not the worst hero, but oh my god, he's dominating us. And I'm thinking, well, actually, Iron Fist ain't that hard to deal with. He is if you're playing Widow into him and you're just letting him jump on you. Yeah, but if he isn't, just move away from him. Oh, it'll play an Iron Man into him or something, you know what I mean? So there's answers to it. And this, again, is the issue with going back to the idea of role lock. When you're forced to play a role, if you log into the game, log into comp, and you're like, okay, I'm queuing up, I've selected strategist, but maybe a DPS would actually benefit the team here against what the enemy team are rolling. You can't actually play DPS because you would be locked into that role. Is that a positive? Is that a negative? Should every game have role queue, role lock? I mean, you start going into arguments of pick ban systems as well. Should you be able to ban heroes before you come in? Honestly, I quite like the fluidity of this. It does remind me of a little bit of early Overwatch. Obviously, it feels, I guess, a bit more balanced than that. But again, we can't really compare those games to each other in terms of like Overwatch from 6-7 years ago to this game and the balance state. All we can do is look at this game and say, we know what happened to Overwatch over the years, but does this game have the ability to maybe exist in a world where it doesn't need role queue and it can thrive off just this chaotic nature? I mean, end of the day, this is a game where there's literally a shark that can eat you and throw you off the map, and unless you rock it, you'll die. There's maybe some other heroes that can get away from it as well. Or, you know, this Iron Man with his massive ultimate, it moves so fast, the projectile does, that if you fire it at certain heroes, they actually can't move fast enough to get out of the way. So it just hits them and kills them. Is that balanced? No. But is it funny? Yeah. So I don't really know what I'm trying to say here, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think this game needs roll queue? Do you think the meta's going to be an issue? And do you think I'm just high as a kite and off my head? I don't know. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Stylosa. I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.